I know right now there's a lot of heaviness. There's a lot of overwhelm and stress and uncertainty and fear and burnout. We've got the pandemic. We've got the fight for racial justice. We've got an economic crisis. We have politics. There's just so much. There's so much negativity. We're still waiting on the murder hornets. Those haven't shown up yet. And so today I wanted us to kick this off by really thinking about where each of us is at right now. So this picture is how many of us are feeling right now. This is actually taken my 17-year-old daughter. I was riding with her. If any of you have teenagers, you know how that can be. But thankfully, I have the Shelter Shield behind me. We're proud customers, so that gave me a little bit of peace of mind. But for many of us right now, the heaviness and the weight and the our hearts are hurting, and there's a lot of healing that's happening, and again, just so much uncertainty that we're feeling like this. We are literally on a roller coaster. And really, to show up as the best version of ourselves, we have to really understand how we're feeling. We have to understand where we're at, and to recognize that, we're a leader from where we are. It doesn't matter what our title is. We're leading our families. We're leading those around us. We're leading our colleagues. We're leading in our community. We're leading online. And as a part of that, we have to take care of ourselves, even in the midst of that stress. And that starts with truly understanding where we are at. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how to really build a momentum mindset, how to conquer change and boost resilience, even in the midst of all this craziness, even in the midst of this uncertainty. We've all been taking a crash course in resilience so far in 2020. And resilience is not the absence of challenges and hard. Resilience is the ability to adapt and grow when facing those challenges and hard. So right now, here's what I want you to do in the comments. So we're going to use, this is going to be interactive. This is not a boring webinar. I want you to use the Q&A as a chat box. So right now in the chat box, I want you to share with me how you're feeling right now. One word, how you're feeling right now. And the team's going to quickly publish those so we can see really where you're coming from and how you're feeling. So go ahead and do that if you would. Go to the Q&A and let me know right now how you're feeling during this time. And I'll wait just a minute for that. And we'll let those come in. But let us know how you're feeling, because really being in touch with that is a key to boosting your resilience during all of this uncertainty. And here's the thing, resilience, like a muscle, can be strengthened, So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about this morning how you can strengthen that resilience muscle. Because as I'm seeing, people are exhausted and overwhelmed. Some of you are encouraged. Yes, we're all on this roller coaster. And so when we think about what does building a momentum mindset mean? A lot of people talk about resilience and they talk about what? Bouncing back. But here's the thing. I don't want you to go through all of this and have to just bounce back. I want you to bounce forward, stronger and better than before. We hear a lot right now about the new normal. I want us to think of this as a better than before normal. A better than before normal, so that you can show up as a stronger and more inclusive leader right from where you are and grow through this. Because I still see comments coming in. A lot of people, yes, uncertain. It's Monday. Yay, Monday can be a good thing. Thumbs up, right? Overwhelmed, yes. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about you today intentionally taking steps to be energized and to be positive and to show up in that way to make more of an impact. Because when we're not in control, and right now we all feel so out of control, we are reacting. We're in survival mode. So how can we shift that? And how can we really take control as a leader and be intentional and do more than cope? but have those strategies to be more resilient. So I hope you're ready to boost your resilience and the collective resilience of all of those around you so you can help make that impact right from where you are. Does that sound good? Because I know right now a lot of you get crazy, stressed, you're overwhelmed, you're missing the office, all of those things. So here's what I want you to think about right now. It's Monday. Yay! We made it. It's going to be an awesome week. Think about this number, 1440. 1440. Do you know what that is? Minutes in a day. Each of us has the same 1440 minutes in a day. And every single day right now, we get to decide how we're showing up. We have that choice. We have that power. So that's what I want to challenge you to do. And as a part of that, I talked about the importance of feeling what we need to feel and understanding where we are from an emotion standpoint, and also understanding where everyone around us is. This is a picture of my friend Patty. As Jay mentioned, I had breast cancer. 18 years ago, I was diagnosed at the age of 30. My friend Patty was 24 when she was diagnosed. She was the reason I found my lung. And because of her, I'm here today. And when I was diagnosed with my cancer, Patty gave me a two-sided card. And I have had this card in my desk, and I have pulled this card out on so many occasions over the last 18 years. And I want to share this card with you today, because I think this really showcases how many of us are feeling right now and why we need to acknowledge and accept where we are today in this moment. So I'm going to read this. It says, it's a two-sided card. It says, you are allowed to be sad, to feel helpless, to be tired, to be depressed, to be lonely, to be angry, to cry, to feel out of control, to feel overwhelmed, to feel scared, to grieve, to feel like no one can relate, to wish this never happened to you or to others, to feel behind, to wonder what if, to long for simple things and simple times, to wish for more. But on the flip side, and you flip the card over, and it says, you are allowed to find the good, to be grateful, to feel loved, to be hopeful, to realize you are not alone, to find joy, to realize you are stronger than you ever thought, to laugh, to be surrounded by people who care, to find your grit, to be inspired, to give yourself grace, to be motivated, to do what you can, to learn to ask for help, to make a difference, to be you. Which side of the card are you on today? And I think for each of us, we may be on both sides of the card at the same time right now. Or, I have 3 teenagers, so I'm flipping the card back and forth a lot every single day within 5 minutes. But it's so important for each of us to remember and understand where we're at and make that time to acknowledge and sit with your feelings and pause and reflect and give yourself that grace and permission to feel whatever it is you need to feel. And then to understand, as you're looking at the published comments right now about how everyone's feeling, to understand that you are not alone. You have your colleagues, you have your shelter family, you have your community, you have those around you who are also feeling many of those things. So it's important for us to acknowledge and understand from an emotional intelligence standpoint where we are, but it's also important as a leader to understand where all of those around us are, whether it's our kids, whether it's our family, whether it's our colleagues, whether it's those we're leading on a team, whether it's our customers, and being in touch with them and meeting them where they are is so critical. And as a part of my gift to you all today, I actually have this card printed so that you can, it's an 8.5 by 11, and you can print this out. You can share it with your team members, and you can use this right now and use it with those around you to really understand where you're at. So I hope that is helpful. I know Jay and his team will share that link with you. And as a part of that, as a part of giving grace, I want you to remember there is no right way to do a pandemic. You have to do this your way. You have to give yourself grace. I had great expectations. I don't know about you all, but when all of this first started, I thought, I'm going to learn to bake. I haven't learned to bake. I haven't baked any bread. I haven't learned a foreign language. Some nights I have Fritos and Thin Mints for dinner. My kids don't mind that. But we were in the middle of crisis schooling, not homeschooling, crisis schooling, in the middle of working from home during a pandemic, not just working from home. So there's so much that we have all had to adjust to. So we have to give ourselves heaping amounts of grace and understand we're all doing the best we can where we are. I mean, clearly I'm not getting on a stage. I speak for a living, and my business was turned upside down, just like you all have had to adapt and adjust, working from home and serving your customers in a different way, and some of you adjusting to having spouses at home or partners at home or kids at home and dealing with all of that. So being kind to yourself and giving yourself that patience and understand you're doing the best you can where you are. And then giving heaping amounts of grace to all of those around you. And leading with empathy, which is a key to being that inclusive and resilient leader, to show up with that compassion and that vulnerability and that transparency. And many of us have heard this, we're all in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat. For many of us, we're all in different situations. So an important thing is to understand, where is everyone around you? Ask those questions, listen, learn, empathize, don't judge and don't assume. Don't write your version of their story. It's their story. And so figure out, do you need to help them bail out the water because their boat is literally sinking? How can you show up in that way? Because we're in the middle of a marathon, not a sprint. Things are continuing to evolve and change as we deal with so much. And so many of us have had many losses, and that person sitting next to you on the screen, on your team, or your kid or a friend, their losses are real to them, just like your losses are real to you. So there's no comparison. You have to do this your way. And remember, your story matters to you, and those around you, their stories matter to them as well and are just important. So, in the middle of all this uncertainty right now, it can be hard to feel like you have it all together. And particularly when you want to show up as the best version of yourself, and you want to be the change, and you want to help create change, in the fight against, racial injustice, and you want to figure out, how in the middle of this pandemic you can show up in a bigger and better way to serve. You have to remember that you are amazing. You're awesome. You just the way you are, right? Instead of me focusing on all the things I'm not, I'm going to focus on what I am. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to focus on what you are instead of what you are not. And think about, how can you be that rock star right now? What is your superpower? Each of us has our own unique superpower. Right now, in the comments, share with me your superpower. There's 7.7 billion people in the world. There is only one you. You can make that impact and that difference. Just like Patty saved my life, my friend that I shared with you, Patty made that difference for me. So what is your superpower right now? For me, a friend said, well, Kim, you're a hope ambassador. I can help others adapt and grow and come out of this better and stronger than before. But for you, what is your superpower? Share that in the Q&A. Share what your superpower is. And then I want you to hold on to that. And remember that you can make that difference. You can make that difference. And in a minute, we're going to talk about what's holding you back from showing up in this way. What's showing up? So don't be shy. I want you all to share your superpower. Positive thinking. You're a listener. Yes. These are good things. So focus on that. You're a de-escalator, Jamie. That's amazing. Susan's, a positive thinker. Laughing is your superpower. All of those things. So I want you to own it. I want you to be in this moment, and I want you to own what your superpower is. And if you can't figure one out, ask your friends around you. That's a good exercise. Ask your team. Ask those you work with. what your superpower is, and then own that superpower. Because here's the thing, 2020 is change on steroids. You know, we always say there are a couple of things we know that are guarantees in life, right? Death, taxes, and change. There is so much change that is happening in our world right now. You know, for many of us, our worlds have been turned upside down. And many of us, we may do okay with expected change. We may do okay with change that we get to choose. It's the unexpected change where we struggle. It's the change that we don't have control over. The change that we don't maybe have a say in how that comes about. And right now, there's change at every level. At our own individual level, within our families, at work, and how you're showing up and how you're having to work from home. At the community level, at the systemic level, as we fight for racial justice, you know, in the entire world, you know, everything has been turned upside down. That is what requires us to think differently and to really think about how can we build that momentum mindset. So I want to take you back for a minute. I want to take you back to my own story of change. I want to take you back to the year 1998. First of all, I don't know if everybody can see this on your little screens. See what this is? Anybody have any guesses what this is? I'm going to show you here in a minute. This was my first cell phone. You actually plug this into your cigarette lighter. Yep, in your car. You sure did. My dad bought this phone for me in 1998 as I was going away to college. He wanted me to be safe. He was worried about me driving 3 hours. So he bought me that phone. And now think about how we all live and operate with this little phone, right? So we've all been adapting to change. We've learned how to adapt to technology, to even working from home and talking to each other through a screen like this. But that's what in 1998, I was, you know, hanging out on my big bag phone there. I was waiting in line at Blockbuster Video. Anybody remember Blockbuster Video? On a Friday night. Now, some of you on the screen right now probably may not have even been born yet in 1998. And, you know, I'm giving you some history here. But Blockbuster Video, Friday night, waiting in line to check out the Titanic on VHS. VHS. 2 VHS tapes. Creepy Furbies. Anybody remember those? Kids were talking to creepy Furbies. Guess what else happened in 1998? Google was founded in 1998. What did we do before Google? How many of us have looked up something already today on Google? And it's, you know, 11:21 here Central Time. We rely on Google and Alexa and Siri more than sometimes our significant others. You know, we talk to them more than our significant others or family members. You know, I tell my kids, you know, Google's like the encyclopedia, and then they're like, well, what's that? You know, it's like teenagers. So teaching them those things, you know, and how did I know what this freckle was before Google? You know, now I look it up and is this Rocky Mountain spotted fever? You know, think about all the ways we have used and adapted to technology. That's how we've learned to deal with change. Now, this is a picture from 1998. This was the mayor in Kansas City at the time, Emmanuel Cleaver, and I was a staffer in his office. And the mayor was frustrated because he could not reach all of his constituents, and he really wanted to be able to reach more people. So I went and did some search. I went on the Google, and I found this idea, this whole concept of being able to do a virtual town hall meeting where you would actually talk to people through the computer. I went to the mayor with this idea. I was so excited. I said, Mayor, I have this amazing idea. You can reach more people. You can talk to them through the computer. And this is what he said. No. I'm computer challenged. I'm not sure about this. I don't want to do this. I was going to learn, you know, I'm 55. I was going to learn how to use the computer when I retired someday. But my persuasive attorney skills, remember I'm that recovering attorney, I talked him into doing it. We drove to the Kansas City Star where we were at the time, the local newspaper there, the only place you could even do a live chat. through the screen. And we sat down at the computer. And it took 10 minutes to boot up, which would make us all lose our minds right now if it took 10 minutes to boot up. And the mayor started talking to constituents. He started being able to reach people he'd never been able to reach before. And it was amazing. And when he was done, he looked at me and said, wow, that was pretty cool. When can we do it again? So the mayor, who was not open to this idea, learned to become adaptable. He learned to stop resisting and to try something new and see what happened. And he was able to reach people that he'd never reached before. And that mayor is now congressman. And he's doing live chats and on Instagram and social media. And it's not just his 27-year-old staffers doing it. He's actually doing it. Because he knew, just like all of us right now are in the midst of all of this change, we have to adapt, we have to innovate, or we will be left behind. And all of us have been adapting our whole life. So we can be a part of the solution, or we can be a part of the problem. We have that power. So where are you on the scale of change? I want you right now in the Q&A, I want you to respond to this. Where are you on this scale of change? Because it's important to know where you're at as you're going through this massive amount of uncertainty and change that we're all dealing with. It's good to know where you are. 1 to 3, no, you were like the mayor was initially. I fight it, I resist it, I hate it. 4 to 7, you are, I don't hate change, but I don't love it either. I need to know more. I need to understand more. I need more answers. 8 to 9, change is good. I like change. And 10, you are the rock stars of change. You are like, bring it on. Bring on the murder hornets. I can handle them, right? Like, you're like, more change? I'm ready. Where are you on that scale? I want you to be honest. You can be anonymous here, right? You don't have to put your name if you want, but this is a safe space. So you can also put your name. Yeah, 8, 7, 6. Ooh, we've got a rock star 10. Awesome. And for many of us right now, we may have had to move up the scale because we've been forced into this position where we're really having to deal with that change. So keep your answers coming. Keep your answers and really think about that and where you're at. And then I want you to think about, where are those around you? How are your kids dealing with change? How are your colleagues dealing with change? Where are they at? And maybe how can you help them move up that scale? How can you help them? Because here's the thing. We all have a choice, as I said earlier. And if we stop resisting, if we actually let go, that can change the whole ride for us. You know, the only thing certain right now is uncertainty. We have to learn to resign as general manager of the universe. That's what I call it. You have to learn to resign as general manager of the universe. Can you change it? If not, then you have to let go. That's how you grow. That's how you stretch. That's how you get unstuck.